Hey guys, it's Chris. From the global pandemic to giant murder hornets invading the US, here are 10 things we kinda have to worry about. Number 10. COVID-19. Without a doubt, the biggest thing we need to worry about in the world today is the COVID-19 virus, also known as the coronavirus. What makes this current epidemic so bad is that it technically came out of nowhere and then took the world by storm. It started out in China, and then via distribution through human contact, it slowly made itself known in virtually every country on the planet. What's more, despite some people having it, a lot of people didn't take it seriously, or didn't know that they had it and thus went about their lives. This got a lot more people infected, and now the world is in a virtual and literal lockdown. The reason that this is something to worry about is because the very nature of medicine dictates that we won't be getting a cure or a vaccine for some time. Any potential cure would need to go through rigorous testing to ensure it doesn't harm those it's trying to cure. Not to mention, coronavirus isn't just a sickness, it's one that can be fatal. As such, we want to get this done right, but also need to get it done fast, else more and more people will pass. This kind of blanket fear has been driving the planet for about 2 months, and with no end in sight, worry is not going to go away. Number 9. Murder hornets. Wasps and hornets are among many insect species that people already know to be dangerous. But when it comes to the Asian Giant Hornet, these are not only the biggest wasp species of the lot, they are by far the most dangerous as their stings are violent and they tend to attack in swarms. What's more, while they were at one time confined to Asia, they're now being found in the United States for reasons that are rather confusing. But the media has put the worry in people by labeling them as murder hornets. While that may sound like a misleading name, it's honestly kinda not. One time, there was an elderly Japanese woman who was attacked by these wasps. She was on her way to visit her home one day, and she was in a wheelchair as she went through the area. As she was going on her way, a swarm of Asian giant hornets attacked her, and because of her confinement to the wheelchair, she couldn't get away. Adding to the horror of the moment was that there were people around that could have helped her, but because they had no way of doing so, they were forced to just sit back and watch. An attendant at a nearby facility did call for help, but they didn't arrive for nearly 50 minutes. By that time, she'd been stung over 150 times. Sadly, she did die the next day. To be clear, not all attacks by these hornets are fatal, and their numbers in the US and other nations aren't as big as you might expect. But given all that's going on in the world right now, this is just another heaping helping of worry thrown at people. Number 8. Economic collapse. There are many factors that come into play when you're dealing with a global shutdown. With numerous businesses across the globe being shut down because of the virus, that rains a lot of havoc down upon the various classes of the world. Basic things like restaurants, movie theaters, game stores, and more are shut down or put on a limited capacity because of the potential for exposure from its customers and more. At present, most non-essential businesses are shut down, and even though certain restrictions are being lifted for restaurants and other special industries, it won't be an immediate return to form, which is a problem, because the global economy of the world is balanced in a very complicated way. Businesses need to be open for money to be made. As such, countries like the United States, Japan, and many European nations are facing serious economic hardships. Some even fear we could be on the brink of a full economic collapse. Certain analysts are going so far as to say that if this doesn't get better, it could take up to 3 years for the world to get back on track, and that's a very long time to wait for things to get better. Number 7. Fear of others. Another side effect of the coronavirus situation is the very simple and basic fear of other people. Now, by that I don't mean that people are afraid to interact with each other on a large scale, or even just interacting with your own family. But when it comes to strangers seeing others on the street, their natural instinct is to make sure that no contact whatsoever happens. And that's just the light side of things. There are many who fear the virus getting to them so much that they're constantly disinfecting everything, to the point where they're driving those close to them crazy because of the measures that are being taken. To be clear, it's not wrong to want to stay healthy or keep distance or social distancing from others in order to help ensure that you don't get sick. But when that becomes an obsession, it can get bad. Just as bad is that there are whole swaths of people who truly believe the coronavirus is a fraud, when it's very clearly not. They're doing protests about reopening their states so they can get back to their lives. This is a dangerous way of thinking, and it could cause more problems than it could solve. Number 6. Elections. Now more than ever, people are looking to their nation's leaders in order to help get peace of mind and get them through the situation they now find themselves in. Some nations have solid leadership that are doing all they can to help, and others not so much. A key one is the United States, where President Donald Trump has been viewed as not caring about the coronavirus at points, making light of it at others, and in early stages of the pandemic, erroneously stating that there were cures for it, and then minutes later the head of the CDC stating that this was not true in the slightest. Other countries like Brazil also have ineffectual leaders who aren't taking the pandemic seriously, and that's worrying many, which is why certain upcoming elections are more important than ever. While it may seem like certain leaders would be voted out of office, that's not a guarantee, especially given the state of the world. Number 5. World War. While certainly not a guaranteed thing in the slightest, it's still something that can't be ignored. The world right now is in a very tough state, to the extent that things that were once basic are now uncertain. A recession that the world is pretty much in can lead to a depression, and when that happens, tensions fray. A great example of this was during the 1930s in the United States. The nation fell into a terrible depression, and other nations were scratching and clawing at one another until the rise of World War II in the late 30s and early 40s. The United States, weirdly, was pulled out of the Great Depression because of the war, and Germany could say the same thing before the war. The idea of World War III is not new, and it's been floating around in the world for some time in terms of who will fight who. Some are even thinking that the pandemic itself is World War III, in the vein that we are all fighting the virus. At present, outright war does seem unlikely, but smaller things than this have set off wars in the past. Number 4. When will things get back to normal? If we're talking about the common man, the biggest question on their minds is without a doubt, when are things going to get back to normal? And the honest truth is, no one knows. What's more, some are stating that it will never go back to normal, which is a sad yet honestly realistic look at things. Keeping the focus on when, that is a question that keeps changing. In March, when the lockdown hit, many thought that the pandemic would be in its final stages by May, yet that did not happen. People are already writing off June and July as potential rebound months, if we're lucky, with August being the time that the world truly unlocks. But that's not certain. What's more, if we rush into a release, it could cause even more cases of coronavirus, and that would be really, really bad. Number 3. Can things get back to normal? The other side of the equation with coronavirus is the question of, can things get back to normal? The answer to this is simply yes and kinda no. You see, there is little doubt that eventually the world will unlock, and people will be able to go to their jobs and their public places and not have open fear of getting sick. But even when we get the all-clear signal from the rulers of the world, it doesn't mean that there's no reason to be wary. The coronavirus will still be out there, just in lesser numbers than before. This fear and worry will no doubt affect businesses trying to get back into the world market. Restaurants likely won't go and do things at full capacity. Masks will likely still be required in certain areas for some time and more. The world will want to return to normal, but knowing what is still out there will no doubt hinder how long it truly takes to get to that state, if it ever gets back to it at all. Number 2. Could this happen again? One of the things that makes the coronavirus so special in terms of its impact is that the modern world, or even all of history, hasn't really had something like this happen before. One of the closest things you can equate to this is that of the bubonic plague in Europe, and that wiped out 1/3 of its population. But in modern times especially, there hasn't been anything close to this, which is why people are not just shocked with how fast coronavirus spread, but they're worried that somehow, some way, something like this could happen again. And that fear is kinda justified. If you looked back 1 year, few people would even know what a coronavirus was. But now the whole world seems to know. So what would happen if another virus like corona was to spread? It could shut down the world all over again. Whether this actually happens is up for debate, of course, but that wouldn't stop people from fearing and worrying about it, and rightly so. Number 1. The future. Everyone on the planet worries about the future, mainly because it's the one thing we truly can't control. The line, "tomorrow is another day," is technically a lie, as we don't know that tomorrow will actually even come. So looking to the future, especially the immediate future, is sometimes very worrisome. To some, they see the upcoming weeks and months in lockdown and will continue to wonder if it'll ever end. What about jobs? What about our families, our grocery bill, school, college, let alone travel? Others will look to the distant future and wonder how the coronavirus will change the world once it's gone. And others will hope that in the future this kind of thing never happens again. While it's easy to worry about the future, it's important to not lose hope as well. The world is in a bad state, but rarely does it ever stay that way. Things will get better eventually. We the people just have to be smart, be safe, and ensure that we don't make things worse so that they can get better. Thanks for watching. What did you think of this look at the world and things that we need to worry about? Which of these things are you indeed worried about? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and wash your hands, and I'll see you next time on the channel.